All right, getting riled up, everybody. This is how you got to get the show started. What's happening? It's Thursday, which means it's time for our special weekly live edition of Fantasy NBA Today. I'm Dan Besbris. He's Vince Miracle. Neither one of us is getting any sleep right now, uh, but I guess we're okay, right?
I mean, we're living. We'll say that. We're alive. We're kicking.
I will say, you look a lot better today than when I talked to you on Monday. I know you said you're having some issues with your eye right now, but on Monday, man, you were in bad shape.
Yeah, I had a really rough weekend after. I honestly thought it was because of what happened on Thanksgiving, and then it lasted on Friday. Wasn't feeling good, and then Saturday was still feeling bad. Sunday was feeling even worse, and then Monday I think it was like the come over it all, and then Tuesday I felt better, like I came in like my normal self, and then but my eye was hurting, and then I woke up today and my eyes all flared up and bad. So yeah, once you beat one sickness, you go on to the next.
I can't. I honestly can't tell. I know you're pretty close to the camera. It doesn't look all that bad, but maybe if the resolution was higher, we'd be able to see you're all messed up. Can you see okay right now?
Yeah, I mean, if your camera was better, I'd see your face more, and I'd be more excited. But it's blurry, and I still see you.
I'm existing only in this. So welcome to all those that are watching us live. I know you're starting to file in one by one. The ants go marching. To those of you listening to the recorded podcast after the fact, obviously, none of the information will change. If you want to be a part of these live shows in the future and you listen on your phone and you listen a couple hours down the line, Vince and I like to get together on Thursdays. It'll usually occur anywhere between about 9:30 and 11 a.m. Pacific time to talk about the Wednesday evening box scores, but also take questions in the it's a YouTube forum, basically. It's a YouTube, when Google bought them, it became Google Hangout, whatever you want to call it. We are available live. Video is going right now. And if anybody has questions, we'll get to them by the end of the show. That's our promise. It's kind of a nice little way, Vince, for us to address a week's worth of questions that people have to wait to get an answer to. And, you know, there's a good and a bad to that. It's great to be able to answer questions immediately. That's what's for the premium members right now. If you want to get that, by the way, go to hoop-ball.com, click on the premium tab. But for those of you folks that can't afford it or don't want to, or a combination thereof, this is sort of your opportunity to get at us once a week, hammer us with questions, and we'll do our best to get them some answers for you. So, Vince, you ready to rock?
Just ready to rock. Let's go.
Vince is ready to rock. The link has been tweeted out. Vince and I have both, I think, retweeted it. He is at VM Center. I am at Dan Besbris. And I guess I should mention also, by the way, Vince, you and I are both on Twitter a lot because we're both at our computers a lot. And that's also an opportunity to answer questions. I know I've even overnight, I think I got 2 or 3 fantasy questions last night. And you and I are both up half the evening with young folks in our home. Yours a little bit older than mine right now, but
she's here with me.
I was answering.
She's here with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's in my. She's right over my left shoulder over there. Watching Elmo. So if you guys hear any, Elmo, that's over there because of the video.
Either Vince being weird or the actual video she's watching. It could be either. But you know, I guess the point I wanted to make is that you don't necessarily have to wait live shows. We are more than willing to answer questions on Twitter. I'm going to look at the timestamp of one of the questions I answered last night. I think it was at 5 a.m. So if you got questions, feel free to hit us up again at Dan Besbris, at BM Center, at Hoopball Tweets. That's another opportunity for you to get at us. It won't always be immediate on Twitter, but you know, if I'm sitting around and I got a bottle in the baby's mouth and nobody's sleeping, I'll answer it. I think Vince will too. So let's talk about some basketball. 9-game Wednesday. That was fun. You and I talked on Monday, Vince, and the Monday card was horrible. Completely, there was no compelling basketball happening that night. Tuesday was a great night. You saw a lot of underdogs come up with upsets. And then yesterday, I thought you had a couple of interesting fantasy angles in those 9 games. Didn't you feel like that was sort of a nice package of superstars doing interesting things and bubble guys maybe cementing their roles going forward. I really liked Wednesday.
Yeah, it was all right. Except for the fact that I played DFS yesterday quite a bit, and I actually had a really strong lineup. People that were 8% owned, 5% owned. I had all the flyer pick. I had all the nice pickups too. Thing is though here, Dan, and this is the thing that's been grinding my gears today. Kings game. And I had 3 players in that game. I had Boogie Cousins, I had Robert Covington, and I had Sergio Rodriguez in my lineup. All 3 did not play. You know what that means? They all got zeros on my DFS sheet. You're not allowed to swap them. So I lost all my money.
That's painful. That really stinks. I'm sorry, man. That's horrible luck because it wasn't like there was any news that the game was going to be postponed. I turned it on League Pass at 4:05 Pacific time, figuring I'd get about 3 minutes of who's the starting lineup and then get the ball game going. And I turned it on to hear the Sixers play-by-play man talking about a film. That was the first word I heard, and I thought, oh, maybe they're watching video. They're doing some sort of basketball analysis. But that was not the film they were talking about. They were talking about moisture film coming up from underneath the basketball court. And they ended up having to postpone that ball game. I don't think they've picked a time to play it yet, but eventually they will. And hopefully, Vince, you can get your guys in at that point, and that ball game will actually happen. So outside of that, because that's the type of thing that impacted DFS guys a lot and full season folks a little bit. I mean, you're going to get that game eventually. I thought the other 9 games, Vince, were pretty interesting. Can we agree on that?
I mean, I was, although I got my feelings hurt for the Kings game, I was so happy that I turned on the Knicks versus Timberwolves. I didn't know if I was going to watch that game last night. Turned it on, watched it from beginning to end. God, those 2 young guys, Karl Anthony Towns, Kristaps Porzingis, amazing. Cannot wait to see what they become.
That was a heck of a battle. They had some of the top fantasy lines of the night. Porzingis, 29 points, 8 boards, 4 assists, 2 blocks, including one of them that was just a total cap job, and 3 3-pointers. Karl Anthony Towns, the line of the night, without question, 47 points on 22 shots. He had 18 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, 3 blocks. He made 17 out of 20 free throws on the night. He turned the ball over 4 times. And really, if you're going to split hairs, that's pretty much the only thing that he wasn't outstanding at. Another note from that ballgame, Vince, Ricky Rubio played the 4th quarter. So that had to be, it still wasn't a big line for him. 8 points, 6 assists. But he did get 3 steals. And that's what he's in there for is assists and defense. So if you're a Rubio owner, that had to be, not the type of line that's going to inspire you to throw a ticker tape parade, but the kind of line that kind of makes you take a moment and go, okay, at least he's playing at the end of the ball game again. If this continues, I think I'm going to get a guy who will at least get closer to his ADP.
Yeah, no, I think Ricky Rubio needs a change of scenery, to be honest with you. The unfortunate part about him having a decent line and playing in the 4th quarter is that the Timberwolves still lost. They still took the L, so are they still going to be looking to making some changes? I know there's that report that came out that Thibodeau is going to be looking to trade one of his younger players to get a veteran. I don't know what type of player that is, what type of player they're going to be going for. Does that mean like they want a Jared Dudley type of player? Do they want a Rudy Gay type of player? And there goes Noe. I mean, there's so many different things and angles that they can be working toward. I don't know really what that report was saying, like what type of veteran they're looking to add. But I'm holding on to Rubio. I have Rubio in one of my leagues. He has top 40 potential. So I mean, you can't really get rid.
No, you can't. The other big stories from last night that I know everybody is sort of waiting to hear about, or maybe waiting might be a bit of an overstatement. The point guard situation in Memphis is one of the top stories from last night. Everybody was kind of interested to see how that would all break down when Mike Conley, now that he's out, Everybody's always watching Denver because the Nikola Jokic has been a topic of constant consternation for the NBA, the fantasy NBA crowd. And in both of those, we got a little bit of clarity, actually, which is kind of nice. And that's hasn't been the case in a lot of scenarios. On the Memphis side, Vince, Andrew Harrison had the first crack at the point guard spot, and he played really well last night. 21 points, 4 assists, 3 steals, 4 3-pointers. To me, this feels like the kind of line that's more the high water mark for Harrison, and I talked about it on the live Q&A last night for premium subscribers. There's a phenomenon that occurs called the injured star theory, where everybody else plays above their normal potential for a couple of games, and then they run out of gas, and that's kind of what I'm expecting in Memphis. So to me, if you're going to go get Harrison, you kind of have to do it immediately. And then don't be surprised if he tapers off a bit and maybe Troy Williams steps up, or if he tapers off and Wade Baldwin steps up. And you might see kind of each guy take a turn having a decent week while Conley is out. But certainly week 1 so far belongs to Andrew Harrison.
Yeah, I had him in my DFS lineup. Thanks for reminding me. It was one of those things that once the injury happened, there were so many people asking me that question: is who do I go pick up? Is it Andrew Harrison? Is it Wade Baldwin? Is it Troy Williams? What am I supposed to get? Who am I supposed to pick up off my waivers? I think Andrew Harrison, as long as you can deal with like percentage, he should be able to give you, I'd say, 15 points, 5 assists, a 3-pointer, maybe a steal a game. I think Wade Baldwin, there's going to be a good chance that if he gets the minutes, and there's no reason why they wouldn't be giving him the minutes. If he gets the minutes, he can make standard league noise. Like I really think that can happen. I was talking with AB as soon as the injury happened about like who he thought and who I thought that would be the best pickups. And there's a good case to be made that a must own in standard leagues. Troy Williams deserves a hard look in standard leagues. Need a ticket pickup, because if he starts getting the minutes and they start developing him, I think he's going to be a nice asset to have on your team.
Vince, are you still on that really old computer? Tell me the truth.
I'm on a desktop.
From what year?
2008.
Yeah, we got to get you on a new machine.
Where it went from a 2005 laptop though. So
okay, so we're getting closer. It still chunks along every once in a while, or maybe you got to stop watching all that prawn in the background.
All that what?
You know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we know what you're talking about. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good breakdown in Memphis. I mean, you've also got Chandler Parsons, Zach Randolph, Vince Carter, James Ennis that are all not terribly far from a potential return. I guess Parsons is sort of, I mean, you never really know what you're going to get from him, but that'll also throw a little bit of a wrinkle into things. I think you and I, Vince, seem to agree on the point that Harrison, yes, got off to the best start of the bunch. Troy Daniels, by the way, he had a nice ball game as well. But it really could change on a game-to-game basis. I don't think that it's a clear-cut situation, even though right now, I mean, if you look at almost any fantasy website, the Andrew Harrison noise is massive. And it should be to some extent. Again, he has the first crack at that point guard spot, but there's no guarantee that he's going to be this good on a nightly basis. I also feel, Vince, like Toronto didn't take Memphis seriously last night, knowing that there was no Mike Conley. The Raptors did not play their normal brand of defense, and that allowed the teams to kind of run up the score a little bit. Toronto ended up winning the game handily by 15 points, but it kind of allowed the Memphis guys to get into their offense. They shot the ball better early. The Raptors turned the ball over a lot early in that ball game, particularly DeMar DeRozan, who ended up with 7 in the game, and Valanciunas, who just got completely roasted by Marc Gasol. So keep an eye on Memphis. I think we may see a very different breakdown. I want to jump straight to Denver, Vince, and then we'll come back and talk about some of the big lines and maybe the other storylines from last night. But does this? I feel like Jokic is beginning to answer the questions. We're getting to that point now where it went from terrible lines to, oh, this guy is starting to use his time wisely, to, oh, okay, now he is taking the bulk of the minutes away from Jusuf Nurkic. And last night he put up probably his second best line of the year, 17 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal on 7 of 11 shooting from the floor. He didn't hit a three-pointer. He didn't block a shot, which, in a perfect world, that would be part of the equation. Tremendous per-minute production. Jokic is on the floor. It seems like the buy low window is not closed, but closing now.
Yeah, I mean, over his last 3 games, he's been a top 60 player. Over his last 7 games, he's been right inside the top, almost top 60 as well. He's making the best of his minutes. Like you said, he's averaging a double-double over his last 3 games and almost close to 4 assists as well as a block, while shooting 50% from the field and 90% from the free throw line. He's going to be a guy that has the across-the-board production that you want to have on your team. And the best part is that he's doing it in limited minutes, 22, 24. Sometimes he'll play 17, then he'll jump up and play 31. And that's the only thing that's a little bit discouraging. And some of the comments that Michael Malone made after the game about how the team is losing, and I'm paraphrasing here, but kind of like they needed to make some changes, and no one was really stepping up. And after that game, you look at it, and Jokic, I believe, was the only one who finished on the positive side of that plus-minus rating. So I don't think Jokic was really the problem. And maybe after comments like that, maybe they move Nurkic to the bench and they start the game with Jokic, which would even move Jokic's value up even higher than what it is right now, and why we said send us your offers, because you're already starting to see what he can do in the minutes and not playing in that, twin tower lineup, which I do think can be effective. I just don't think it should be their go-to lineup like they were trying to do to start the season.
That was a little bit silly, and they're realizing it. And honestly, Jusuf Nurkic has been horrible lately. He's been worse than bad. He had 5 turnovers yesterday, 4 points, 6 rebounds, an assist again, and 5 turnovers. He got eaten alive by Hassan Whiteside. And frankly, Vince, basketball standpoint, to me, it actually makes a lot of sense to have Jokic in the first lineup, because he's a really effective passing big man. So you could use him for a number of these other guys that are sort of shoot-first type of players. Danilo Gallinari, shoot-first guy. Wilson Chandler is a shoot-first guy. Gary Harris, when he comes back. Will Barton. These are all guys that are slashers or shooters. They drive. They fire from 3. They're not really passers. So, Jameer Nelson got inserted into the starting lineup to try to help distribute the ball, and he's done a nice job of that in the time he's been starting for this club. But they could really run the offense through Jokic with the first unit, give Nurkic maybe 7 or 8 minutes a half, bring him in at the 4-minute mark in the first, and just let him bulldoze somebody's second unit where he doesn't have to worry about working in the flow of the offense. He can run that second unit, and he could kind of be in that same mold of what we're seeing from Greg Monroe in Milwaukee coming off the bench, Nick Vucevic in Orlando coming off the bench. These guys that probably starters on a lot of teams, but when they come in as the second unit top dog, the 6th man, they can just go head down and straight to the basket, and they don't really have to worry about what's going on around them. So maybe we'll see that. Hopefully we'll see that. But regardless, Jokic is coming around. And yesterday we got, again, just kind of a taste. Couple of the lesser storylines from last night, Vince, if we can blast through these at a decent clip and then move on over and start taking questions and spend the bulk of the show, I think, going through the chat room. Not a whole lot in that first game yesterday. You're seeing Marcus Morris, the sort of swing from cold to hot. He's warm again. We've gotten a few questions about the Morris brothers be a little bit inconsistent at times. Amazingly, Marcus right now is the higher ranked of the two. Vince, what are your thoughts on Kelly Olynyk on the Boston side? This was with Al Horford playing productive game, but man, consistency has always been such an issue for him.
He's going to be like a Frank Kaminsky type of player where he's going to be out there to try and shoot the basketball and stretch the floor out. I think he's always going to have minutes and have time on the floor as long as it's not like go see him get too many minutes against a guy like Gorgie Dang, because then he's just really ineffective just to stretch out the floor a little bit. But I think what it is that he opens up the floor so much for a guy like Isaiah Thomas or have isolation plays, as well as putting Al Horford down on the block if needed, or putting him in the high post and letting guys move around, and to have him be a fourth option or a fifth option offensively and an effective shooter as that fifth option. That's what makes that Celtics team so dangerous, is that they do have the offensive weapons. They're just missing that superstar piece. And that I think with Kelly Olynyk, like you said, consistency will always be the issue. I think he's better suited for deep leagues, of course. I also think that he's really nice in certain situations for DFS plays, but I'm not rushing to go after Kelly Olynyk, especially because of the consistency. It just bothers me. There's not that many defensive stats, and the rebounding is subpar.
About Brandon Jennings over on that Knicks side. Every week we talk a little bit about him. Role is solidifying a little bit. Has he kind of crept onto the radar in 14-16 team formats?
Brandon Jennings is my boy. I love Brandon Jennings. He goes with Detroit, and he put up that double-double, that 20 and 20. He's like the most ball hogging player to ever get a 20 and 20. It was ridiculous, but yeah, no, he's definitely creeped up into 14-16 team leagues. I mean, over his last 7 games, he's been a top 100 player. And like you said, I think he has definitely earned a role with the Knicks and off that bench. And at times he outplays Derrick Rose, who's played a little bit better, but again, it hasn't looked good. And that's just me being honest. I don't like the Knicks this season. I like their pieces. I just don't like the Knicks. But Brandon Jennings off the bench, I think he provides a huge spark. I think in games like with teams against Charlotte, or maybe even against a team like the Washington Wizards, where they want a speed on speed, and to have him and have Derrick Rose be off on a shooting guard, I think that you're going to start seeing that a little bit more as the season progresses. And I really like Brandon Jennings as a person. If you automatically pointers with maybe even just a handful of assists, I mean, on the year, he's already averaging 4.9, so really a handful of assists. I think he can really help you. And if anything happens to Derrick Rose, I would say you'd want to automatically run to go get him in standard leagues.
Yeah, he'd be a monster if Derrick Rose goes down, and I feel like
win.
Yeah, it'll happen at some point, even if it's just for kind of standard maintenance. A couple of big lines in that Washington-Oklahoma City game, but no real incredible fantasy news other than the fact that, Vince, I think it's safe to say that Oladipo's there now. He's not on his way. He's back. 25, 6, a steal, and 5 3-pointers. He's become a knockdown outside shooter. I think your only complaint in this game is I wish he would have gotten 2 or 3 steals, but Oladipo looks really good lately.
Yeah, I mean, over his last 4, top 20. Over his last 8, he's been just outside the top 20. You're seeing why everyone here was go buy low now. He's taking a minute to adjust to his new role as the number 2 guy for OKC. The steals will be there. The assists will be there. The only thing I'm not seeing that I wish you're saying I get a little bit better with numbers is the blocks. I mean, last season he was at 0.8. Over his last 8 games, he's at 0.5. So I want to see that be consistent, but he's shooting the ball well from the field. The free throw percentages are what's really killing him. And I believe when we talked on Monday, you and I brought that up, is that really it's just been his free throw percentages that's been keeping him around that value on the year. But when you look at it as a whole, and he's only going to the free throw line 2 times, so take that with a grain of salt. But as a whole, this guy is starting to put everything together, the assists, the rebounding, the steals. on him, you're feeling great. If you're the guy who sold low on him for, I don't know, Chandler, you're probably feeling bad about yourself right now.
Tell me about Russell Westbrook. Just
the walking triple double.
Yeah, he's averaging one now, which is pretty impressive. 35, 14, and 11 last night. He did turn the ball over 5 times, and that's been a little bit of an issue, but 5 is frankly not all that awful. He took 35 shots in yesterday's ball game. That's a lot of shots to take. Can he really keep this up all year, or is he going to get himself hurt?
I'm nervous about that, to be honest with you. I mean, the way he plays is so reckless. It's ridiculous. And if you guys can see, my daughter's like on my arm right now. I don't know if you guys see her little head. She just wanted to say hello. Wave to everyone. No, wave to the camera.
The top of a head. The camera is showing just like the top of her head.
No, she's nervous now because I put her on the spot. But no, I mean, I really think that Westbrook, the way he plays for opposing teams, but also for owners, because he's driving to the basket at will. His breaks when he's running and he does that stop and pop, those breaks look scary. It's like he's just coming to a complete halt. So
yeah, how do you do that and not put a certain amount of strain on yourself? I guess by getting in the air, it sort of decreases the resistance he's feeling. But yeah, it is you. This. How can you go at that speed for that long? He's a freak, man, but he's still human. So anyway, hopefully he can be okay.
What's crazy to me too is that on the year he's still outside of the first round. On the year, even as a walking triple double,
yeah,
he's still not in the top 10. So it's just
of how 3 categories, 9 category win. He has his steals are down. His free throws were great yesterday, but on the whole, he's only helping you a tiny bit in that department. Turnovers very high, fielding low. So there's a number of categories where he's actually hurting you a little bit. Head to head, he's a monster. 9-cat roto, there are where sort of the triple double and the name goes a little bit farther than the amalgam, when it kind of gets of all and it's why guys that are having big seasons and kind of quietly not making mistakes, but higher than him.
Last question on Westbrook. Buy or sell, this guy finishes the year with a triple-double?
I don't think he does. I think there has to come a point where it's a comparative word, sputters, because he's still going to be going crazy. But how can he rebound like this all year? Someone's got to help him on the glass. It's too much for one man to do. But I don't know.
He's Steven Adams.
Yeah, he's a maniac. That's all you can say. He's a maniac. He's leading the team in rebounding every night. I don't know. To me, that it just seems like either he's doing it or they're asking too much. He shouldn't have to grab every damn rebound, but he does. So anyway, I called that Lakers-Chicago game, by the way. You can go back and listen to yesterday's podcast. I said Chicago coming home off a long road trip, axed by New Orleans. They were going to be pissed. I thought they'd keep it close. I didn't know if they were going to win it outright, but hopefully people that listened to yesterday's show won some money on my Lakers pick. But
let's do some lines today, Dan. Let's do lines. I love doing lines.
It sounded like you were suggesting we do cocaine, but I think you mean we're going to make basketball picks. Uh-oh, did I kill you?
Sorry, kids. No.
Yeah, we're talking about gambling here, which is not quite as bad. San Antonio had a bunch of their guys rested yesterday. Dallas has a bunch of their guys rested tonight. That's a mess, man. Dallas is a mess. Nowitzki's out for another 2 games. The word came out yesterday he'd be missing at least 3 more. He's in bad shape. Barea's out for a few more weeks. Your boy Harrison Barnes is kind of the last man standing in Dallas. Although I gotta say, I really like what Andrew Bogut is doing on days when he's not resting. 4 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, a block, 2 for 2 from the field. I mean, to me, that's rosterable. I like that collection. That's sort of an interesting chunk of stats to get out of a center spot. And I feel like Andrew Bogut is flying under the radar because he got off to a slow start in field goal percentage. But when that number comes back to his normal mark of 55 to 60, this guy's going to be a top 100 center, and I feel like you should grab him.
No, I completely agree. I like what Andrew Bogut's doing. I think what's funny though is that I feel like he's doing what the Knicks were hoping Joakim Noah would be able to do,
exactly,
which is rebound and pass.
Right on.
They got the
100%
broke version of that.
Well said, Vince. That was the exact comparison I was thinking of. Because on the show last night, I was saying, boy, it felt like sort of like a 2013 Noah line that he put up yesterday. But yeah, Joakim's breaking down and Bogut's playing 35 minutes. Who saw that coming? Well, maybe I guess half of it we saw coming.
He's been breaking down for the last few years, though. That's what's funny.
Yeah, I guess that's the half we saw coming. But Bogut came out in the media last week and said he was upset that teams were saying he was brittle and couldn't play more than 20 minutes. So he comes out and he says, "Run me ragged, give me a day off, and let me go." And 35 minutes, man. If he's playing that many minutes, he's gonna give you usable center numbers. Darren Williams to me is kind of the other side of that equation, where he's a big name that people want to pick up and have on their fantasy team, but stat-wise, he hasn't really been good. His shooting percentage is low. He's not doing anything on the defensive side. He turns the ball over, although last night only 2. And he's outside. He's on the other side of the cut line, which feels crazy to say because I'm one of the people that's been watching and saying, man, if Williams can get up to that 25 to 28 minute mark, I feel like he ought to be ownable. But right now he's not, and I don't know if that's changing the rest of the way.
It's not. That dude's injury prone. I don't know what it is. I think his body's just worn down from his days in Utah. I mean, even over the 15-16 season and the 14-15. I mean, he's barely been a top 100 guy when getting 32 minutes and playing 65 games, which is probably what he's going to be playing this year. I mean, what it is, though, is that he can get you a high number of assists. He can blow up at any time and go for, 8 3-pointers in a game or in a quarter. And I'll always remember that from when he was in Brooklyn. I thought that was really cool. And, that's the thing is, name Darren Williams as remember like it was just a few years ago. I think we talked about this over the offseason, Dan. It was just a few years ago when Darren Williams was, competing with Chris Paul as the best point guard in the league.
It's laughable.
You remember that?
Laughable.
Yeah. Now that's not even the case. Now it's like, is this guy even going to be able to put on his jersey without getting a shoulder injury or something? He could be out for months on end, and that's what makes him hard to own. So it's a short-term pickup no matter which way you turn it. The person I'm looking at, though, and I thought it would be Seth Curry, and Seth Curry's played fine. He's starting to step up a little bit. Jonathan Gibbons, though. Gibbons has been coming in and playing very well off the bench for the Mavericks. The thing that's going to hurt him, though, is one, Curry's still playing. He's questionable for tonight, and Devin Harris is probable. So now he's further and further down the depth chart. But I think Gibbons is pushing Curry right now for minutes.
They got a lot of point guards or combo guards on that Dallas team. So that now becomes a little bit of a log jam where I kind of felt like minutes at the big spots available. Dwight Powell has done well in limited minutes, but I don't know that he's ever really going to see more than that. So it's sort of Wesley Matthews and Harrison Barnes just chucking away, and a lot.
Justin Anderson, guys. Justin Anderson. I'm telling you, this season's gonna go away. Season's gonna get away from them, which it already has. And the further and further along it gets, I think Dirk's gonna get shut down. I truly believe it. And I think there's a good chance that after a season like this, dealing with the Achilles strain, how long it takes him to get better. It was originally supposed to be just 2 games. Now it's 3 games that he's going to be missing. I think you could potentially hear a retirement at the end of this year. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I know he has another year on his contract, but I think you could potentially hear it after this because I don't think the Mavericks are going anywhere anytime soon. But Justin Anderson, I think his rest of season outlook is worthy of an ad in at least a 14-team league if he's not already owned there, and a look in standard leagues. With Dwight Powell, I thought he would be better. I was high on Dwight Powell over the offseason, and he's just not getting the minutes that I thought he would get, and he's also not playing as well as I thought he would. That jump shot is good. A nice DFS plays on this team tonight, and I'm just gonna let you know I have quite a few of them in my lineups.
I bet you do. Let's talk just briefly about Atlanta Phoenix, and then let's take some questions. Your boy Kent Bazemore decided to have his once-a-week blow-up. What a headache, but that's a nice ball game.
Don't hurt my boy's feelings like that.
He's like, it's like goose eggs for 3 days, and then whammo, 22, 5, 3, 3, 1, 4, 3. He did everything last night, and why can't he do this every night? Why can't he do it every night? It's time, Kent. Start doing it. Dennis Schroeder, by the way, had a really nice ball game too. He went for 31 and 9. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 21 points in this one. You play the Phoenix Suns, and you're probably going to have a few guys that do a little bit of scoring, but they lost in Phoenix. Tyson Chandler and Alex Len did their best to kind of try to slow down Dwight Howard, but decent across-the-board production. Brandon Knight had 23. P.J. Tucker and Jared Dudley had 17. Eric Bledsoe and Devin Booker were in the low teens on this one. T.J. Warren remains out. I can't believe that Tyson Chandler is still winning the bulk of the center minutes on this team. It seems insane. But as long as he's playing more than Alex Len, he's probably worth having on your fantasy team, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Tyson Chandler, he's rebounding the basketball. For some reason, Earl Watson keeps saying, we're going to go young. We're going to go young. But I'm going to play Jared Dudley and Tyson Chandler a ton of minutes and see what just happens at the same time. I mean,
and PJ Tucker. There's old goats in that place. Weird.
But TJ Warren's injured. So, I mean, you got to take it with a grain of salt. When he comes back, I mean, he should definitely be a hold if he's not stashing him away. And that's what I wanted to ask you before we moved on to this team, too, is J.J. Barea has been Darren Williams injury-prone, Devin Harris injury-prone, Seth Curry questionable, but he should be able to play, but doesn't compete with the same thing. Is J.J. Barea a stash/hold for those in standard leagues?
Him. I feel like there's too many guards. He was in a perfect scenario earlier this year with Harris and Williams both out and Curry not really gaining his footing just yet. I can't possibly see a world where Barea comes back and continues to take the most shots on that team. So I'm not holding him. I'm a little bit lower on Barea. And even when he was healthy, he's a stat set guy where he really needs to play 35 minutes to do enough in the non-points and assists categories to be relevant. And I don't see him playing 35 minutes when he comes back. So no, I'm past JJ Barea. I've moved on to other bodies.
I see him still getting 30, 33 minutes a game. That's the thing that's crazy. Because I don't trust the health of Darren Williams. Devin Harris. As much as I think he's a good player, he doesn't get more than like 16 minutes, 18 minutes.
Yeah, but even that's enough to cut that to push Barea back down to the 100, 120 range.
But Harris can play the 2. Yeah,
I hear our podcast guest over there.
Yeah, she really wants to talk to everybody. Maybe I'll let you answer some fan questions in a minute.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. What does she think about JJ Barea?
Noe, do you like JJ Barea? No. Oh, well, there's your decision.
Atta girl. Atta girl.
She said no. Yeah, she doesn't really like but
that's what I'm thinking
about. So, Dan, go ahead and move on to the next game. I'm gonna entertain her for 2 seconds while you're talking.
Okay, well, I'm actually going to go to the questions now. So I'm going to turn our attention over to the YouTube chat room. Again, if you are listening in and you're thinking, man, now that I've heard these guys yammer for 30 minutes, I have a question and I wish I could have gotten it answered. There are a couple of ways to do that. Feel free to join us for our next live Thursday show. Vince and I will be here with you on YouTube every Thursday in the late morning. You can follow us on Twitter at Dan Besbris at VM Center. We can get to you there. Or, and this is the best way of all because it powers this locomotive that is Hoopball. Membership. Put a couple of coins in the pocket of the experts at Hoopball. It costs money to run a website and to have a bunch of people writing for it. So I don't want to say help us out because it's an exchange of dollars for goods and services, but it's a great way to get your questions answered very, very quickly. And it's a lot of fun. You get all these extra podcasts. There's going to be more DFS discussion moving forward. So there's a lot of expansion coming and a great reason to get that premium subscription. First question on the chat board comes from Scott Douglas. He says, Gorgie Jang versus Al Horford, 9-cat roto. How much better is Horford? Or rather, how close is Jang to Horford value-wise? It's about a 2-round difference, Scott. Both of these guys are performing at about the level that we expected coming into the season. Al Horford is going to be a second-round guy. Jang is probably going to be a fourth-round guy, and I don't see that changing much. Vince?
Yeah, no, I don't see that changing. I think Gorgie Dang is still always going to be that second guy, and I think that Al Horford's going to be a key piece to the Boston Celtics all year long. As of right now, Horford, I believe, is right around first round value on the year in 9-cat leagues. Yep. So I mean, he's gonna be a beast all season long. It's all just about him being healthy, of course, and as long as this team's winning, they're going to use him and utilize him. They went after him hard because they needed a center. They got the center that I think that they wanted, a passing, mid-range shooting, 3-point shooting, a big man that can also put his back to the basket. So you want to keep Horford if that was the question. I kind of missed it a little bit there. I'm going to pull up the chat.
Yeah.
But
jump on in. Well, we can keep moving. Next question is, I got offered Wilson Chandler and Kristaps Porzingis for Marc Gasol and Reggie Jackson. Note that I am leading. Yes, please. Good Lord. Marc Gasol, especially now with Conley out, feels like a massive injury risk. Reggie Jackson is an overrated fantasy asset, although so is Wilson Chandler a little bit. Take the best player. That's Kristaps. He's a monster. Vince,
do it right now.
Yeah, you and I agree.
Right now.
I'm not even going to spend more time on it. You don't listen to us anymore. Go back to your league, click accept. Do it immediately. Chunk says 9-category roto. I have Pau Horford, Valanciunas, and Cody Zeller as big men. Asked us last night about Bismack Biyombo. I have Danny Green, Josh Richardson, and Terrence Jones. Can I drop any of those 3 guys for Bismack? Well, any question that involves Biyombo is one that I am giving to Vince because where I have my man crush on John Henson, Vince has his man crush on Bismack Biyombo. So, Danny Green, Josh Richardson, Terrence Jones, do you drop any of those 3 guys for Bismack?
No, but I love you some big Biyombo.
Oh, the disappointment.
I really wish I could have said yes to anything. I mean, I'll say this: Josh Richardson. No, Josh Richardson is. I think out of the 3, I'm looking at Danny Green or Josh Richardson. You know what? I'm gonna hurt Dan's feelings. I'm gonna hurt Dan's feelings. You're dropping Terrence Jones. Drop Terrence Jones. Go get Bismack Biyombo. Get the blocks and the rebounds. He's the man.
That's my pick from those guys too. Terrence Jones, just too much of a space case. When he's on, he's unbelievable. When he's off, he's a disaster. And Biyombo he's up and coming right now. Orlando's getting him more minutes. They want to make him the defensive fixture on that team. And I think if you like sort of safe consistency, then Bismack is your guy. So yeah, I think you could drop Jones. I think you could even drop Richardson. Miami's fully unhealthy right now, which gives Richardson a massive opening. But I think that he's sort of due for a poorer shooting season after going nuts last year. He's not going to shoot a guy that shoots from that far away from the basket is not going to shoot at the clip he did last season. So I think that there's a little bit of a regression there. So yeah, I like Biyombo. I'm pretty high on him right now. Miguel says, "Hey, Vince and Dan, what's happening, Miguel?
What's up?
Is it possible to win a head-to-head 20-team deep league with the following lineup?" This is a really difficult question, by the way, because we're analyzing an entire lineup on the fly.
I'm just gonna say yes. Just gonna say yes.
Paul George, D'Angelo Russell, Jeremy Lin, Wes Matthews, Jamal Crawford, Devin Booker, Wayne Ellington, Maurice Spates, JaMychal Green, and Kelly Olynyk. Maybe?
No.
Sorry. Vince says no. Take that.
Jamal Crawford, no. Devin Booker has been shooting in field goal percentage. It's 9 cat head. Like what are you winning in? You're not winning in points. You're not winning in assists. You're probably winning in 3-pointers and maybe free throw percentage. I'm just trying to find your silver lining to your team. PG-13's out with injury. His field goal percentage is terrible. Jeremy Lin's out too, and even when he comes back, what is he, like 5 assists, 6 assists a game, 18 points? I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not a huge fan of your team. It's 20 deep though.
It's a tough. Yeah, it's really tough to analyze an entire roster. Given and 20 deep, I'm in a 10, a 12, 14, and a 30 this year, I think. So it's really difficult to know unless you're physically in that same league exactly what you're going up against. I mean, it's not a horrible lineup with 20 teams. I could see three. I could see probably not terrible. Probably not much in the way of rebounding in that league. Yeah, it's a tough one. That's a tough one, Miguel. That's a question for the Hoop Ball Forum, my man. So we can actually like break it down, look at the stats, and compute where things are weak and where they're strong. Go to hoop-ball.com, head to the forum, and pose your question. You might even get some answers from fellow fantasy NBAers while we figure out where we can shore your roster up a little bit. Movie Dude, our old buddy.
I was going to say, Miguel has nice pieces. Like, there's nice pieces in his lineup, but all of them do the same exact thing. But it doesn't win you one category. I don't see a win for him in any category. So that's my only issue.
I could see victory in threes, maybe assists, free throw percentage, steals. I guess you could get like 4 categories there. We could get one more. You could probably get a 5-4 win every week. Is the writing on the wall for Tim Frazier? Movie Dude asks. Yes, with a caveat is my response to that one, because I think he's going to keep starting. I just think he's going to become a lower usage guy, which certainly depresses his value, but I don't know that he's going to be a cut guy yet. I still think he's going to sort of walk into a nice chunk of assists on any given night. You're just not going to get those, 18 and 9 lines you were getting earlier this year. You're going to probably be settling for something more in the lines of 8 to 12 points, 5 or 6 assists, a steal, a 3, sort of an end-of-the-bench point guard type. But that's still better than a lot of guys out on the waiver wire. Vince, what are your feelings on Tim Frazier?
I love Tim Frazier, and I'm patting myself on the back once again because I told you guys he's going to roll with this team. Eve Holiday and Etuan Moore are the same exact size, meaning they're already playing the same size at the shooting guard position. They can be on the floor together. That's all I'm trying to say. I like Tim Frazier. I think, like you said, the assists are going to be there. I think the defensive stats with like the steal per game should be able to be there. If you guys like Darren Williams and he's the guy that's on your radar, I would rather have Tim Frazier. I think they basically do the same exact thing, but Tim Frazier's better. I
agree. He won't hurt you as much. Should I trade Dwight Howard and John Henson for Nikola Jokic and Ricky Rubio? God, yes.
Yes.
Are you punting? I guess that's the only question. Well, if you're punting, you have an opportunity to get out of it. if that's a trade that would actually be accepted. Because right there, you're trading a waiver wire guy and hunt an 8th, 9th rounder for a 2nd rounder and a 5th rounder. I mean, that's one of the most
just 2 top 40 players.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the most lopsided trades I think we've had in this forum. So yes, my God, yes. If you can get that trade, do it. And while you're at it, that person that you're trading with, I've got a bridge if they're interested. Joey Nadalo, hey guys, first time catching you live. Awesome, Joey. Welcome to the fray. Follow us on Twitter. I'm going to tell everybody to do it again. At Dan Besbris at VM Center, so you can get us even when we're not going live. Justin Hamilton, who has a better look, Vince? Jay Ham or Gary Harris?
That's a great question.
I'm going Harris on that one.
I'm definitely going Harris with that one, but I still think that's a great question.
He says he's deep at shooting guard with Oladipo, Wes Matthews, and Danny Green.
Drop Wes Matthews.
At center, as Miles Turner, Nikola Jokic, and Yusuf Nurkic. I think I'd still go Gary Harris, even though you have depth at shooting guard. He's going to be more consistent. You can get more from him.
I'm dropping Wes Matthews for Gary Harris right now, even with him injured. Wes Matthews' field goal percentage is killing me. I had dropped him a long time ago.
He's been a little bit better lately, a little bit. Career average, at least, not 29 to 30%. The Robert Covington line. We've got the Mendoza line in baseball. We need the Rocco line in basketball.
He's been better, but he's still been garbage. Like he's still shooting. He has those bad nights where he scores like 8 points on 3 of 15 shooting. I'm like, good God, stop it. He's barely inside the top 120 on the year.
He shoots those high arcing threes too, and when they're going long, they're going to hit that back iron and pop way up in the sky. I've seen it so many times. Movie Dude says, what injury sounds shadier? Jeremy Lin missing a month with a hamstring injury, or TJ Warren missing weeks over a minor head injury? I vote TJ Warren sounds shadier because hamstrings are weird. They take a long time to heal. You see those, especially with Jeremy Lin. We know that he can break down. Warren, minor head injury is a weird name for it. Sounds like the Phoenix Suns are disguising a concussion, which is a swear on this podcast because it's listed as clean on iTunes. But that's BS. There are a lot of protocols in place to try to keep teams from shirking the concussion protocol. And if that's what the Suns are doing, they should be punished, and they should be punished hard. So my vote is the Warren injury is way shadier.
Yeah. I think the Warren is a huge question mark, but I will say this. I'm not going to say I'm happy that the injury. I'm happy that news came out about an injury. I'm not happy that he got injured. And then that owner, and I had #1 waiver priority, he's on my team.
There you go. So rumbling right along here. I'm just checking the clock for a moment, making sure that we're on schedule. Got about 10 minutes left, so we'll try our best to hit every one of these. Ben Carnado says, "What's up, Dan and Vince?" Vince, I'm going to answer this one myself to save time. If Mike Conley has been dropped in my league, is he worth the risk? Yes, pick him up now, immediately. Moving along. I traded Kemba Walker and Enes Kanter for Chris Paul and Ryan Anderson. Thoughts on that trade? I like it. Chris Paul is a first rounder. Anytime you can trade something besides a first rounder and get a first rounder back, you do it. I know Kemba Walker's been awesome, but Chris Paul is more awesome. Vince, agreed?
Yeah, we can go to the next question. And my daughter says hello.
What's up, little lady? My screen just jumped all the way to the bottom, so apologies.
I got the next question here for you, Dan. Monty Eunice acquisition for the Brooklyn Nets. Does this hint a Brook Lopez trade?
No. I mean, I think that they're trying to unload him anyway, but I think that this is a move. They like Demo. I mean, it's a failsafe if they can successfully move Brook Lopez, but I don't think it hints that anything is imminent.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't think anything is imminent by. He's a restricted free agent. Even if they give him an offer, that the Rockets have to decide whether or not they want to match it or not. So it's not like a guarantee he's going to Brooklyn. 1, 2. I think what it does is it just helps with the depth behind Brook Lopez, but I think what it does will hurt Justin Hamilton. So going back to that last question, that's another reason why you can have Gary Harris above Hamilton in in the rest of season outlook, but I'm not worried. I'm not thinking Brook Lopez trade because Monty Eunice at all.
I was offered Kristaps Porzingis for Isaiah Thomas. Which side should I go for? Vincent?
Kristaps! Porzingis Christ!
Completely agree. Do it. Get wait a minute. He was offered to give away Kristaps. No, reject that trade. Okay. Well, regardless, I think we made our point. You want the Porzingis side. That's the better side of that trade. Here it looks like there's been a nice discussion going on in the chat room of the questions from other chatters, so that's pretty sweet. And we may have actually hit all the questions. It looks like the rest of this is just discussion. There's a couple right down at the bottom. Looking to make room for Rondae Hollis Jefferson off waivers. He has 7 power forwards at the moment. Does he drop J. Mike or D. Carroll? Is that JaMychal Green? Is that J. Mike?
Yeah, I'm guessing that's J. Mike. JaMychal Green or who?
Damari Carroll. I'm dropping Green out of those two.
No, I'm honestly, I might drop Damari Carroll. I think the injury to Mike Conley is a bit more concerning because it has to do with his back. I know there's all these reports like, oh, he's going to be the timetable, blah, 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 blah. That's the Memphis Grizzlies trying to be positive about what happened last season and hoping it doesn't happen this year. I think you're putting more minutes now on Marc Gasol to have a bigger workload offensively and potentially even defensively because I don't really trust Andrew Harrison's defense all that well. Tony Allen's an injury risk. I think JaMychal Green's just going to have to step up, especially with Zebo out too. And, hearts go out to Zebo.
Yeah.
Sad news. But
that's a tough one.
Yeah, but I think JaMychal Green's the rest of season for a team that, probably going to be dealing with some injuries for a little while. And that's just expectation. I mean, with Damari Carroll, if you need a 3-and-D guy, he could be worth it, but he hasn't been living up to it that much. So
you and I, yeah, he's been a little bit better lately. I think he's starting to round into shape. That's a tough one. We can agree to disagree on that one. Stronger rest of season hold, Tyler Johnson or Sean Kilpatrick? This is a really good question, Shane. Both of your questions have been really good so far today. Tyler Johnson or Sean Kilpatrick rest of season outlook? I think I'm going Kilpatrick in this one because I think that if Miami can ever get healthy, Johnson's going to have a little bit more trouble maintaining the amount of activity he currently has, although that's sort of the same case if or when Jeremy Lin ever comes back on the Brooklyn side. But it feels like Kilpatrick has kind of carved out his role as a scorer, where Tyler Johnson is a nice across-the-board guy. He's a better fantasy asset, but I just don't know if the minutes are going to be there. This is a really good question, though.
I think I'm going to have to...
Vince?
That is a really good question. I might agree.
Yeah, right.
I might agree with you, though. I mean, Kilpatrick's showing offensive potential. I still think he's a CJ Miles on a bad team, though. I mean, he's going to have a good night. He's going to have a bad night. But they're putting the ball in his hands. That team's not going anywhere anytime fast. Even when Jeremy Lin returns, Sean Kilpatrick will probably play some shooting guard minutes with Rondae Hollis Jefferson at the 3. So with Tyler Johnson, I mean, I like the skill set of Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, that's the key. He's the higher ceiling from a fantasy perspective, but is he going to have the time to get there? And that's why I kind of lean Kilpatrick. But that's a really good question. Rest of season outlook question. That one makes it really close. Gorgie Jang and James Johnson for Emmanuel Mudiay and Tim Frazier. Which side is the better side? I think Jang's the better side in that one.
Gorgie Jang and James Johnson trade for Mudiay and Tim Frazier. Yeah, you definitely got to go with Dang and James Johnson. That's a much smarter trade.
I literally just dropped my Ryan Anderson right now for Nikola Jokic. Thoughts? He was dropped? My God. Somebody dropped somebody that... We're talking about a guy that was drafted probably in the top 30. You can almost never drop a guy in the top 30 unless they get hurt for the year. So, yes, John, take Jokic and laugh all the way to the bank because Ryan Anderson is a huge stat set malfunction fantasy guy. I love him. He's a Cal Bear, so I have to. But, I mean, you're talking about 6-7 rounds of difference in value between those two guys, at least by the end of this season. So that one's an easy one. Shane has a logistical question, Vincent. Maybe you have the answer to this because I think you've watched more of these shows on your phone than I have. Shane says he's a premium in-season member. Thank you, by the way, Shane. That's you're loading the coal into our steam engine.
You the
But
man.
He can't seem to chat in the closed session live videos like Fantasy NBA Tonight. What is he missing? Do I have to be on a computer or can he do it from a phone? Vince, I think you've been sort of on the receiving end here. Do you know if there's an easy fix to that?
No, I mean, really, if you're watching it on your phone and you've clicked into the link from the paywall and you're in your premium membership, it should be able to pop. So what it probably is you're watching the video on your site. On the site, what you need to do is you need to click on go to YouTube stream because you're the only one who's able to see a member. So you just click on it in the back end of the site on the premium membership of the side. You get it to transfer over to the YouTube part of it, and then there you'll see the live chat on your phone. Or of course, you can always go and copy the or transfer it over from being on the site to a URL, and that'll help you get to the questions as well. But yeah, we again, like Dan said, we truly appreciate it. Shane, I've seen you in the chats. Again, thank you so much for being a premium member and supporting hoop-ball.com.
All right, Vince, last part of the show. We're looking at tonight's 6-game card, and we're making some dumb betting picks, although yesterday I was actually pretty confident in the one I suggested. Dallas is in Charlotte. The Hornets are favored by 11.5. The Milwaukee Bucks, coming off a victory over the Cavaliers, are favored by 5.5 on the road at Brooklyn. Memphis back at home on a back-to-back. They're hosting the Orlando Magic. By the way, we just got word that Elfrid Payton is playing tonight, so all my DJ Augustine crowing is right down the toilet. Bench him. Not going to be very good.
Yes.
That one is Orlando by 2 on the road. Interesting. Clippers in Cleveland. Here we go. Cavs by 3.5. By the way, that's a line telling you that Cleveland is favored by only a half point over the Clippers on a neutral site. That's really surprising to me. Miami back-to-back in Utah after a victory yesterday in Denver. That's 2 games in altitude in a row. That's tough. Houston's in Golden State, and the Warriors are favored by 12. Vince, what games are interesting to you tonight, and what's your pick? What's your betting pick for Vince Miracle?
I'm very surprised that Milwaukee's only favored by 5.5 over Brooklyn. That intrigues me a little bit because I don't think anyone on that team can stop Brook Lopez or out-rebound Trevor Booker. But at the same time, there ain't not one person on the Nets that can stop Giannis Antetokounmpo. So yeah, I don't like that game. I think Charlotte wins by 20. I mean, I just don't. I would even with Darren Williams and all.
That's a lot of points. That's a lot of points. And Dallas cuts into the lead at the very end. That's your classic backdoor cover scenario.
It's gonna be an 8-point game heading into the fourth quarter. They're gonna run out of steam. Hornets win by 15 to 20 points.
So Charlotte
calling that.
The juice there, huh, Vince? You're laying 11.5.
Well, Kemba Walker's been playing like garbage lately, and he has a very favorable matchup against Darren Williams and Devin Harris and Seth Curry because he's still, when he's playing bad, he's playing good. But he hasn't carried this team to victory. I don't think there's anyone that can really stop what Batum is doing, being that Swiss Army knife type of player, where he's basically anything he needs the team to be. No Andrew Bogut tonight. He's out, so I think that opens the door a little bit for like a guy like Cody Zeller to be able to run. I will say this, though, for the Dallas game, for DFS players that want to make some money, you got to look at Medri. You got to look at Dwight Powell. I would give a hard look at Justin Anderson for value plays on the Charlotte side. I think Kemba Walker is going to be well worth his price. I believe he's at $8,400 right now. You're looking at what's getting me is that they're not crossing 200. And I do see that happening because there's so many offensive weapons for Charlotte, and that's why I think they're going to win by like 20 points.
Yeah, question is if Dallas can break 80.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually thinking that maybe some of the better plays are to bet the under on the TNT games tonight. I have a feeling that both the Clippers and the Cavs are going to take this game seriously, and so you'll see the pace slow down in the second half.
Clippers better take it seriously. They gave up an 18-point lead to Brooklyn and lost in double overtime. They better take every game seriously right now.
So they're going to be mad. I think LeBron
stopped.
Right? Don't you feel like LeBron wants to kind of show the Clippers that the Cavs are still they're still the man, and they're probably a little bit tired of hearing about Golden State and all that as well. So I don't know. I've watched so many Clippers games over the years, just being in LA and getting that station without a basketball package, to know that when the games get serious, Chris Paul walks it across the timeline and they get into their offense really at the 14 mark on the shot clock, and just, knocking out 5 or 6 possessions is enough to keep that total from going over 216. I don't know. Again, these are not fully researched picks. You and I are just having a little bit of fun. Just thoughts from Vince and Dan. That's just where I'm looking. I think they're expected to be high scoring, and I think they're going to be a little more hotly contested, a little more playoff-y, as it were, and that'll slow things down a little bit.
I'm putting you on the spot now. I'm done waiting. I'm ready. We need to do it. We're going to help those who bet parlays so that they can win with the real bucks. 3-game parlay. I'm going to give you 3 games, over-unders. You just have to tell me, top of your head, you do it, and then I'm going to have Noe choose one, and she's the real moneymaker here. Yeah.
Okay.
She's going to be the one that's with the big games.
I want to preface this by noting that correlated parlays are probably the better way to go, meaning that if you have a feeling on a particular game, like in this one, Warriors and the Rockets are going to play a little bit of a slower tempo, dog, because in a slower game, you're likely to have fewer points, and clearing an 11.5-point cover would be tougher. I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm just saying that's what a correlated parlay is, where you feel like one situation kind of begets another, and you're able to get really good odds on 2 bets by parlaying them, because you have a strong feeling about how the ball game is going to play out as a whole. Anyway, there's a little gambling lesson for everybody. All right, Vince, hit me with 3 numbers. I'll give you my over or my under. I'm not even going to think about it.
Okay, here we go. First game on the docket for you. Clippers, Cavs. Cleveland, who you taking? Sorry. Take that back. 3.5 points to the Clippers. Who you taking?
I'm picking a side now. I thought you were going to have me pick the total on this ball game. I'm taking Cavs to cover.
Okay. That's a good one. Let's go to the next one here. I think this is the most interesting game of the night just because it's the closest game of the night, so it makes it a little bit tougher. So you guys might not want to take this one down to the bank, but who cares? Here we go. Orlando, Memphis. Orlando is favored by Orlando is favored.
Yes,
taken.
Game we've all been waiting for. I'm going to take the Grizzlies to cover or to win at home, which is crazy because Orlando just beat San Antonio, but I think they're going to look past this ball game, and I think Memphis is going to steal it.
All right, Noe, now it's your turn. Are you ready? She's going to give out the game of the night.
Game of the night.
So we have the Houston Rockets, underdogs by 11 points. Do you like the Rockets or do you like the Warriors? Which one?
Rockets.
The Rockets? She likes the Rockets. Given 11.5 points. So those are your picks. We have the Cavs. Who'd you say, Orlando, Memphis?
I took Memphis.
We have Memphis. And we have the Rockets covering with 11.5 points. Those are your picks. Take them.
This is like having an animal. We'll pick winners between all of us here. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for tuning in to our Thursday live edition of Fantasy NBA Today. He's Vince Miracle at VM Center on Twitter. I'm Dan Besbris, same Twitter, hoop-ball.com. Check it out. Hoopball tweets if you want those live updates, injury updates, and links to all the wonderful stories coming out at our host website. Enjoy your Thursday card, everybody. Should be a fun night. 6 ball games. That's a lot for a Thursday. Vince, you'll be back tonight at 9 p.m. with John Sill for an immediate reaction show. That'll be for premium members only. And I'll be back with you tomorrow at 11 a.m. with Aaron Brewski. We'll break down the week gone by. We'll get the update on what's going on at Hoopball, what's in the works, what to look forward to, and wrap it all up. Thanks so much for listening. Fantasy NBA Today in the books. Have a great Thursday. We'll talk to you soon.